I just want to take a look at some of the default palettes, because if you're really into pixel art like me, palettes are super important. I mostly use the vanilla palettes, and I know how to make palettes, and I'll tweak them a lot, because there's a lot of good palettes in the game, and nowadays people share their palettes a lot, so I guess I wanted to share Jappa's palettes, right? Because most of these should be made by Jasper, Boerstra, whatever, who is the lead artist at Minecraft. He revamped the program art into the default textures that we know now, and I'm just going to go over my favorite palettes that I like to use, starting with wood, because I need wood a lot when I texture a lot of stuff. I have a lot of crossbow variants, bows, custom torches, whatever, and I need the wood palette for Minecraft a lot, and Minecraft has a lot of pretty wood colors. But the recommendation here in this video is not to actually use the plank palette, which is this palette on the left. It's actually to look at the boat item textures. That's what I like to reference for my wood palettes. Sometimes they'll be really dark, like this one, and you can actually remedy that a little bit. You know, I go into the palettes a lot, like really artistically. I like to go with 128 as an opacity value, and then you can just go through the colors one by one if you need them a bit lighter if necessary. But as a base palette, this is what I do a lot. Okay, when I create palettes for my pack, this sort of stuff is what I do a lot, just mixing and matching default palettes, because these colors are already pretty good. But like I said, this is specifically about the boat palettes, which might need a little bit of tweaking. You might just choose to just use this part and just ignore this because it's very dark, or like I just showed off, you can just make it a little bit lighter. And there you go. For all the wood types, if you ever need a palette, don't look at the planks, which is probably what you would instinctively do, but I find these to be, I mean, they're nice, they're great for the blocks, but as far as like actual, you know, pixeling goes, especially for items, what I've done, like crossbows or whatever, I think the boats have a much nicer, much richer palette. And then when you use bamboo, you get 2 extra nice shades, right? So you can do some detailing with the green. Next up, 16 palettes for all the dyes. Some of these are like perfectly great to use from the get-go, like probably cyan, it looks great. Light gray, can't go wrong. That's not really a great palette, but either way, I want to show off how good the dyes are. They're very rich, and you can easily do that trick like I just showed. Like if you really like this as a base color, you just again put it at half, or it doesn't even need to be half. You can just freeball it like this, right? Just do it real quickly. Just click. You know, it doesn't really fucking matter. I'm just artistic like that. I like to use the exact value. And now you've kind of like cured the palette a little bit. You know, it's a bit softer now. Or if you want it really bold, like it comes in default with the dye, this is it. A nice palette. I think all of these, specifically this one's really nice. It has some blue mixed in right here, and the lime one as well has a really nice ramp. Even though it might be a bit of a steep ramp, but like I said, you can just easily tweak it like this, and you get a much more balanced palette of colors. Look at that. Or just an example, right? Just saying, this is a great source of colors, because this sort of hue shifting, if you do this little sneaky technique that I do a lot, you know, you will find that you have a really rich palette already, right? Just a nice base source of colors for you right here. The dyes, the Minecraft dyes, I think they're really good. A cool bunch of colors, specifically black too. I have a lot of black palettes that I like. You need a lot of different types of black, I find. This is another one that basically doesn't work until you sort of like tweak it, right? So you have to kind of like go in here like that, you know, maybe, and then you can, you know, tweak it. There you go. You got a little bit of a softer palette going on, even though it's still pretty harsh for white, but whatever. Okay, moving on. Probably pretty obvious, but the corals have really nice rich palettes. Like the red has this fiery tip, you know, the fire coral, and the same for the blue. It has this like electric tip to it right at the top. As a bonus, I'll put that coral in here because it is actually a really nice palette, how it has the reds in there, like the reds and the pinks mixed in with the gray. The corals, I thought I'd show them off because they're really nice. The smithing table palette, specifically the top here, great cast iron palette. Other alternative palettes for cast iron in Minecraft are the cauldron. I've put it side by side, and actually looking at it, it's not a bad palette because there is some nice blueness in the dark shades. There is some red here in the lightest shade right there. But if I need a cast iron palette, I always use this one. And for me, because I specifically make Minecraft models, it's also good to stick to the default palette, because then if I always do that, it's always going to be consistent. If I just need a cast iron palette, you know, all my cast iron is going to look the same because I always reference the same palette. So as far as cast iron goes, I think this is the prettiest cast iron, you know, and I'm also comparing it here to another cast iron, which I, you know, looking at it, it's a good palette. You could also use it for something else, but overall, I prefer this one. The blast furnace has some really nice stone in it, which is nice shades of blue and red almost at the top as well, like really ashy. And then the lighter shade of stone is also pretty nice, where it has this green shade that you can also mix in, which kind of makes it look a bit metal maybe. But either way, the blast furnace, I've picked a side here, has some really nice colors for you to take you know, if you're looking for some gray, neutral pellets. Next up, Netherite. I work with this all the time. I've made so many armor sets for my pack. On this page, you can see the types of armor that are available in my pack. On the right here is Netherite, and you can see that I've used this pellet to make a bunch of different shapes, just the same pellet over and over again. So yeah, Netherite is a great pellet, definitely my favorite of all the gems. I mean, you know, gold and iron is my own pellet. That's not vanilla, so I'm not including that. But from the vanilla pellets, Netherite is just really great. It's pretty specific to Netherite. When do you need a purpley metal? I don't really know, but it is really nice to work with. So get your hands on some Netherite. There's different versions of it. I don't really prefer this one, the ingot pellet. It's pretty bland. I don't know when I use this. This is my favorite one by far. I use this one a lot. And then I also really like the item one. It's a really unique, rich pellet that you can reference that invokes kind of like a cold, ancient feeling. Maybe that's just because I know it's Netherite. But either way, I wanted to throw it in there. Shout out to Netherite, pellet. It's a great pellet. Next up is mud. It's a pretty crazy pellet. It goes from kind of like blue to brown to gray, but it is actually super perfect. If you've ever looked at mud, or if you've ever like stepped into mud with like your boots, it dries up super gray, almost bluish. There's the muddy pig from Minecraft Earth. That's some Minecraft lore for you. And I've also added the muddy pig to Minecraft in swamp biomes. And then Mojang added mud, and I wanted to include the muddy pig in the new mangrove biome, right, where the mud appears. I had gone for brown mud. Most people do that, like instinctively, like Minecraft Earth had done that too. And then I realized I wanted to change the mud pellet to this, because this perfectly represents dried up mud. I don't know if I can like explain that well enough, but like this is just a beautiful pellet. When do you need it? I don't know, if something is muddy, but just have faith in this pellet, because when I use it on my pigs, the muddy pigs in the mangrove swamp, I just thought it perfectly evoked that feeling of just dried mud, right? And that's kind of what pixel art is, right? It's like working with feelings, right? Interpretation, right? Like what does this evoke in you? Because we're using pixels and it's all really vague, so you know, there's not much information there. You kind of have to, it's sort of like implied information, right? I don't know, there's just some real magic going on in this pellet. I just wanted to give it a real proper shout out. So the mud pellet, beautiful. I don't know when you need it, but if you ever need mud, reference the default Minecraft mud pellet, because it is great. Blackstone, I don't know when you need this. Again, it really invokes the feeling of Blackstone, but I just wanted to give it a shout out. It looks pretty 8-bit. I don't know what it is. It has a really shallow greenish color in it, which really dulls it out, but then it also pops so much. I don't know what it is. It's just a really nice pellet, great texture too. So shout out to Blackstone. If you ever need a pellet like this, I don't know when you would, but if you would, you know, go for it, Blackstone. Then we have the Sniffer, which is just a great source of red, green, and it also has a nice yellow pellet, even though it's a bit big. But yeah, just a lot of the modern mobs have great pellets. I reference a lot of the modern mobs basically, and I wanted to put the Sniffer out there because it has, you know, some rich colors that you can use a lot of the time. Putting the Sniffer in here specifically, but yeah, talking about most of the modern mobs that have been added right in the past 2 years have great pellets that I reference all the time. Illager metal, that's what it's dubbed in the community anyways. The metal that's on the Ravager legs, and it's pretty simple. It's only 4 colors. I've extrapolated it a little bit. I have like 12 Ravager variants. I did a whole video about it. You should check it out. But anyways, yeah, so I love applying this Illager metal specifically on Illager stuff. I think it's just really nice. It looks a bit aluminum-y, which I think works for Illagers as a theme, you know, it being like scrap metal, kind of like they steal the metal and they melt it all the metal they collect, they melt it all up, and then that's their brand of metal. It's just a bunch of collected stolen metal, you know. And this is my armor Ravager, and I made Ravager for all the villager professions. But that's a whole video on its own. You should check it out. Also, you can actually see in the furnace here, I used the blast furnaces palette, right? Which makes sense because, you know, the armorer's armor station is a blast furnace, so that kind of ties in. But there you go. That's me using the default pellets like all over the place because they're great. Next up is kind of a funky one, the Campfire Flame. So the fire of a campfire, Campfire fire. It's just a really great fire pellet. It's really nice. I really love it. And for comparison here, I have the default fire texture, which is atrocious. It has one of those infinite pellets because it's just a or like, I don't know how they made it. It's like some kind of animation generation or something, but it does not consider pellets at all. It's massive. Well, okay, white's the only color, so I just made this, you know, I don't know, I made this fun graph representative of, I don't know, it means nothing. I just made this for shits and giggles. It has no pellet, basically. It's fucking massive. I've actually fixed it in my pack. I've used the Campfire fire palette, this one, you know, the default Campfire, as my fire palette, and then I also decreased the palette so it's actually the right amount of colors for fire. So I have a really smooth flame texture in Minecraft, and it's thanks to the Campfire palette. I think it's a great palette that I love to reference. Whenever you need fire, just you know, I reference this palette. So there you go. Last on my list is the crafter, and not for anything other than its redstone feature. I thought this would be nice to mention because the crafter has introduced a never seen before palette for redstone. On the right here I have the observer, the back of the observer, which has a really dull but familiar. This is the redstone palette we know, right? And then when it's lit, it's this extremely bright, like in your face, like shining light red. And then now the crafter has a really just undeniably prettier palette. Like this represents redstone to me so much. This is like, because that's what I've known always, right? Like this specific palette, the one on the right here. But you know, it's inarguable to me that this is just a much nicer palette. These colors are much more rich. It's hue shifted a lot better. It's using the right techniques. You know, it's soft in the right way, but also contrasty in the right way. It's a really great set of colors, even though it's only 3 colors. But it is notably different from the redstone that we've known. So this is a new angle for redstone. I don't know, is this going to continue? Maybe it's just like a little one-time thing, you know, but this is what it should look like, right? It should be this. And I don't know if anyone fucking notices this, but anyway, yeah, no, I noticed it. I do think it's an improvement overall. I like change, I guess, you know. I like when stuff improves. You know, I'm not such a nostalgic guy. I like preserving old stuff, but when it comes to improving it, like if this is the way forward, then I'll gladly adapt the new color of redstone. But you know, I wanted to point it out, you know, maybe spark a little discussion. What do you think? You like the new palette? I did actually also create a palette that's right in the middle of the two, which could be a nice solution. Use this one, which has a bit more richness. It's a bit more closer to the rest than we know, but also at that point, does it really matter? Like, I don't know. I think just this palette is so perfectly like crafted, like the new redstone palette, right? That as soon as you put even the slightest hue shift in it, it already looks out of whack, and it looks more like this one. So I don't know if making a middle palette is worth it, but yeah, I mean, I guess that could be like the comment point of this video. So comment below. Right, and like and subscribe. And this was the video actually going into the palettes of Minecraft. And there's a lot more palettes, like the villager professions, actually something I should mention. They have great palettes. This is just the icy snowy villager type, but it has 3 amazing palettes already. I mean, this blue is great too, but it's like a little bit too recognizable as being a villager palette. Like that's almost, you know, you use that to signify that it's a snowy villager. But it has a really nice generic leather palette here. It ramps up a little bit quickly after the second color, you see that? It's a little bit steep, but we can remedy that, right? We went over this, look at that. We just like fixed it a little bit, look at that. This sweet, some sweet little balancing. But anyways, it has a really nice little basic leather palette. And also I love this wool palette. For like fur, like a fur coat or whatever, you know, I've used this palette a lot. So villager professions is another little tip I'll give you. And then that can be the end of the video.